Hello, my name's Toby and I work in the City of London Corporation's Health and Safety team, where it's our job to help keep people safe who are working here in the business and financial centre known as the Square Mile. In this short video, we're going to be looking at emergency rescue arrangements that need to be in place for when people have fallen or become stuck whilst working at height. There are many activities that involve working at height, such as being on a roof, working in a cradle or cherry picker, on scaffolding, or even cleaning windows. In the first instance, the law requires you to do everything you reasonably can to prevent someone falling at all, but this may not always be feasible. Having accepted this risk, then you must still try to minimise the distance and consequence of a fall, but additionally plan for how you will get that person back to safety afterwards. This is known as your rescue plan, and the details of this need to be just as specific as planning the work in the first place. It is important that your rescue plan is suitable and works so that those that need to be rescued can be so quickly and safely. Unfortunately, we find that that's not always the case. Emergency rescue situations may come about for a number of different but foreseeable reasons. Cradle use is common in the city and they can cease or stop working, or a person may simply become unexpectedly unconscious or unwell whilst in an awkward location. Or a person may even fall whilst on a lanyard and then remain suspended. If a person is suspended for even a short amount of time, this may result in a life-threatening condition called suspension trauma. When planning the rescue arrangements, it might be useful to ask yourself the following questions. How will you know if someone is in need of rescue? How quickly can you get to them? How quickly can you get them to a safe place? And what equipment and training do you need to make all this actually happen? There are many different types of rescue systems, and this short video cannot cover them all, and provides only one filmed example. Ultimately, you will need to be confident that what you choose is appropriate for how you intend to use it. Some systems even allow for self-rescue provided the person is still conscious. You will need to ensure that your risk assessment considers what level of rescue you might actually need. Once the planning has been done, then the best thing you can do is to turn it into a written emergency rescue plan that you can communicate to everyone who needs to know it, from managers to contractors and site security teams. A critical mistake that we often see is just to rely on emergency services to carry out any rescue that might be needed. Whilst there may be some circumstances where this is appropriate, the initial duty to rescue lies with those undertaking the work. You must have a plan for rescuing them yourself, as the emergency services may not be able to attend or assist. Here are some specific issues that you might need to consider when planning a rescue. Priority should always be given to minimising the risk of a fall, even during a rescue operation. Don't just rely on direct rescue by rope as the first option if safer options can be planned that keep the risks of a rescuer falling low. Have you thought about exactly how the rescuer or the rescue team will actually get safely to a person stuck at height? If you are using vehicles such as cherry pickers for rescue, then can they reach all of the areas where people will be working? Is the ground even able to support them, and do the vehicles have the necessary reach? Can a cradle safely lower all the way to the ground if necessary? Are there any issues with passing traffic obstructing rescue, or a risk of collision with other vehicles? Consider also the safety of the rescuer. Good rescue planning will ideally avoid putting anyone else at risk. It's usually preferable to lower or raise a casualty to safety remotely, rather than relying on anyone else to do the rescue directly. And if you're going to rely on anchor points for rescue equipment, you need to make sure that they are either unquestionably reliable or can handle the additional loads imposed upon them during the rescue, such as the weight of the casualty and the rescuer. Are these anchor points in the right place for rescue, and positioned where any rescue equipment such as ropes can be safely used? These are questions that should be answered in advance, not during the intensity of a rescue operation. And finally, you don't want to be thinking about whether or not rescue equipment is in good condition when you are already in that emergency situation. It's better to have a system of regular maintenance and inspection checks in place so that the equipment is ready to be deployed immediately if needed. So, when you're considering work at height, make sure you've got a suitable and written emergency rescue plan in place that has been communicated to everyone before you let the work go ahead.